Welcome everyone to the podcast, Crypto Podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk about pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. So, today is Friday. Hope everyone is doing well. Uh, it's cold weather still here in Manila, here in the Philippines. It's kind of even raining here in our place in Laguna. So, hope everyone is safe. Hope everyone will enjoy your weekend tomorrow and Sunday. You know how fast weekend flies. So, enjoy. Definitely will do. Tomorrow will be my wife's day off, but she'll be in work on Sunday. I have work later still, but decided to do this episode. So yeah, it's a slow moving news day for pro wrestling. Debate still happening about the Jey Uso thing and whatnot, but you know what? What the heck? So it's Friday, so I decided to do something related to pop culture and life in general. Combination. Okay. So movies are, part of the entertainment lore, and even part of our lives. Even whenever we're sad, we want to be excited, we want to be happy, all emotions. We go and watch any movies. So I've decided I am both a huge, aside from being a wrestling fan, comic book guy, action figures guy. Movies is also part of, my everyday, day-to-day life, especially when I'm working as a freelancer now and doing this podcast and whatnot. Um, I like most genre. Maybe the most genre that I probably the genre that I don't really enjoy that too much are, well, horror is fine. Maybe those western movies or stuff. But except for Magnificent Seven, the Denzel one, I like that one. Afterwards, I am all for it. Superhero, sports, drama, comedy, action, whatever, mystery. So I mentioned sports, so here we are. As you can see on my backdraft, or not really backdraft, my screen. Uh, I listed a few of highly recommended. I highly recommend it. This is my personal top 10 sports movies of all time so far. Um, why? This is actually a top 5 anything, but top 5 anything plus 5. So, yeah, it's a top 10. Because sports normally inspire us as well. Most sports movies are um are there to remind us, to inspire us, because most sports movie does that. Underdog stories to winners. Um, I missed one in this list, but so it's 11. I'm going to mention it right now because it's really inspirational. Coach Carter. Samuel L. Jackson starred as a basketball high school coach, and he coached this school. He used to play for this school. Uh, held records until things are changing. It's like more gangs are part of the school program, so he decided to coach the basketball team. He isn't even a teacher there. He just decided to coach the team to make them winners, to make them, student athletes, which student comes first. That's my favorite line there. Student comes first. Um, because he wanted good education for those, children, to those teenagers that are trying to do something, so that's top 5 plus 6. So decided, to do that. Why? I forgot why he didn't mention that. But yeah, Coach Carter is one of my sports for because it's inspired. Most of the speeches there are inspiring, especially the one with Timo Cruz of what do we fear. I forgot the entire, dialogue as much as I've seen the movie like, dozens of times. Um, it really helped of, how we overcome fear, how we overcome ourselves in terms of, of toughness, of challenges. So Coach Carter is definitely one of my top favorite sports movies of all time. Then let's go to the list that's in my poster. So it's top six, top five plus six. One of the I can recommend is Blue Chips. Blue Chips is a 90s sports movie. If you can see, you can see the great Nick Nolte there as the one of the stars or the head coach, and Shaquille O'Neal in his film debut. Um, this movie starred Shaquille O'Neal and Nick Nolte. It's a fictional college school that or university that promotes basketball, and one of their best teams are basketball. But during the time, I'm if you can say spoilers, then whatnot. Okay, so it's a school about the high school, the college team of Nick Nolte's character. They're on a decline, so they decided to recruit more players or more impact players. And the thing here, it exposed a little bit of college basketball at the time where there are corrupt individuals because if you're a student athlete, right now it's different because they have the NIL program in the States. When you're a student athlete in the States, you don't get paid because you're not supposedly working. You're playing your sport and you're studying. But the thing is, for all sports in the States, in the college, university, whatnot, you have basketball, football, hockey, baseball, track and field, swimming. You don't get paid because that's your chosen profession or sport. So in this movie, they tried to recruit several of few basketball players. Also starred here, and fun fact, you can Google it, you can Wikipedia it. This is one of the first time, or at least the first time, that Shaquille O'Neal met future teammate for the Orlando Magic, Anferny Hardaway or Penny Hardaway. And when he got drafted, Shaquille O'Neal, I mean, got drafted for the Magic, and he's already playing for the Magic at this time. He said, "I want you guys to draft Penny Hardaway," and they did. So they were able to be teammates in movie, and they were teammates in real life in the Orlando Magic basketball team. So the story here is that it's more how corruption, or because there are some people called boosters or friends of the college that they spend money to recruit players to make because their basketball TV coverage, sponsorships, advertisements, those boosters gain something a lot as well as the school. That's why there's a documentary regarding student athlete with LeBron James, I believe, produced that coaches, coaching staff, personnel, they're getting paid millions of dollars in the States right now, but not the players. So that's why, hence the NCAA or the NIL program right now. Meaning, if their sponsor is like, cereal box, after college, I believe, they will be saving earnings for those students that's the likeness, and they're going to get paid. And that's the best thing about that right now. But here's the thing is the thing is, of course, Shaq is really relatively new in the movie business at this time. So acting wise, he's still Shaq. The way he acts as Shaq, he's a young Shaq. um but it's a great movie in terms of you how to understand or navigate of how these things work in the past. So it's highly recommended, Blue Chips. And let's go to the other list. Moneyball. So this is a different sports movie because the main topic of this movie is Major League Baseball in the States. In a lot of sports in the States, guys, there are big markets and small markets, large markets, small markets. So, for example, if you're an NBA fan, Los Angeles, New York, those are big markets, what they call big markets. Chicago, big market. But you have your relatively small market teams in the NBA. I'm just comparing for here for the NBA analogy. You have your Oklahoma City Thunder. You have your even Milwaukee is a small market compared to LA, Chicago, New York. So in baseball, it's the same analogy. They have collective bargaining agreement with with their union or players union, but it's quite different in the NBA. In the NBA, they're getting higher salary for players now, but in MLB, if I'm correct, by watching these movies or understanding this movie, they have a larger market. So the story here is a general manager for the Oakland Athletics named Billy Bean. So his team in Oakland is relatively a small market. It's like there's a comparison that the Yankees have like $300 million in budget, and his team is like 30 million plus, and it's so unfair. So I like the story because yeah, it dwells a little bit about the sport of baseball, but it dwells on the science or statistics, according to them. Uh, I didn't put this in this list, but the opposite of this movie is Trouble with the Curve with Clint Eastwood, Justin Timberlake, and Amy Adams. It's the complete opposite. So Moneyball is more of the statistical analysis of Billy Bean and Jonah Hill's character, Pete, Peter. I forgot the last name, but I like this movie. Um, as they analyze team because they don't have money. That's according to them. Yeah, 30 million is a lot, but for a baseball team, it's not really. So what they did is there this person, the state's name, James, Bill James, I believe, something James. Uh, that they analyze the player stats in order to get wins. So for the analogy for Moneyball, it's you don't pay your players to win. You play the statistics for win. You spend money for wins instead of, you know. So there that according to them there's a list of like 150 plus baseball players, and they can use like an ample budget, and they can create a championship team, which in the end for this movie for Moneyball they were able to do. They were able to partake in the playoffs. They were able at the time had the longest winning streak of 20 wins straight with players who are considered defective. And I like how one of the things that I like about the sports movies is, like I said, the underdog story, but how the confidence level of the heroes or the protagonist rises from an underdog or at that low point to the top. And one of my favorite things about this movie is that Billy Bean, the Billy Bean character of Brad Pitt, he never wavers his confidence. There were times that he was down, but the thing is, he never show it to anyone that you know what, I'm down. But as a general manager, as the leader of this organization, I have to be as confident as I can be. That's what I got from the gist of this movie. So the statistics of baseball of how they pay for wins. It was highlighted in this movie, or it's highlighted in this movie. But I said the opposite of this movie is the Clint Eastwood movie of Trouble with the Curb. For that one, the scouts or the scout Clint Eastwood's character is a baseball scout. He still travels from city to city, town to town to check on baseball players, and he doesn't believe in the statistics of our computer analysis of baseball. So it's a complete opposite. But I love that movie as well. I just didn't put it in this list because top 10, top 11 is fine for me. But I love sports movies, guys. So another recommendation from me, it's Moneyball by with Brad Pitt as a star. Then next one, let's go with Draft Day. So this is a first tier. It's similar with Moneyball, but it's not the same. With Draft Day, as you can see, it's Draft Day. So, uh, this movie stars Kevin Costner, the great Kevin Costner. You have Jennifer Garner, the late great Chadwick Boseman was here as well. Uh, and it's a story of really they name everything: the NFL, National Football League, and they, of course, if it's story of Draft Day, it's about the draft day or the draft of NFL. Great story. I'm going to minor spoilers. Cleveland Browns, that's the team that Kevin Costner managed. Uh, they're number 7 in the pick draft pick, and they decided to trade it with the number 1 pick from Seattle Seahawks with all three number 1 picks. Because in the NFL, picks are important, especially those number 1 picks, because they have 30 teams as well, or 30 plus teams, and they have a lot of rounds, so a lot of great NFL or football players. So they trade like three straight number 1 picks for the number 1 pick. So Seattle Seahawks got 7 now, and because of the first round pick, then Cleveland Browns now got number the first pick overall for round 1. Then, like I said, long story short, I'm not gonna spoil the movie. I'm highly recommended. It's if you're have VPN or Max, I believe Draft Day is there, so you can watch it there. Like I said, the story here is the analysis of how it's like one man's trash to one man's treasure. It's like that analogy. And I when I was still working for the BPO industry, and I believe around 2020 when I was working for a BPO in Alabang, uh, most of my agents are newbies. I mean, they stopped studying because of the pandemic and whatnot. And I told them because they're on sales, they're on upselling account, inbound upselling campaign. And most of them are timid, most of them are nervous. And I told them, you know what? Watch the last part or at least the last act of Draft Day because from there you will see how confident. I recommended like a couple of movies, Wolf of Wall Street, Boiler Room, and Draft Day. Especially Draft Day because Draft Day is more wholesome compared to Wolf of Wall Street and Boiler Room. That's another story for another day. So Draft Day is more of like watch the character, the lead character, which is Kevin Costner's. How confident he talks, how he talks when he was negotiating, and you will be confident. Try to pick some things from there, and you will see how confident you can be. Because I really love how confident Kevin Costner's character at the time when I was watching the movie. And I saw when I saw it first and in HBO, it's like never saw this movie, and it was like wow. I was like my mind was blown away. So, oh, this is great. Although, like I said, most of the sports movies are based on fiction as well, because when some general managers, real general managers from the NFL said that doesn't really happen. What happened in draft day doesn't really happen that much in real life. But I encourage you guys to watch this because you can see how good this movie really is. Then afterwards, let's go to another football movie. This time it's Remember the Titans. Now, if you're a sports fan or sports movie fan like I am, you know how good this Remember the Titans movie is. This movie is. Stars Denzel Washington. This movie is about high school as well. High school students, although the high school students really look like really old. But the story happened during the 70s when segregation is still rampant in the states, meaning it's African American versus the white Americans or Caucasians. Um, how they are divided, and the character of Denzel Washington here, it's similar with Coach Carter, but the character of Denzel Washington here is that there's no such thing as race when term in in terms of winning. Uh, this is different from Draft Day and Moneyball when they're an underdog because the character of Denzel Washington here, the challenge was you can't lose one game. You have to win every game, and they had a perfect season. Spoiler alert for the entire movie. Great acting by Denzel Washington. There's a reason why he's an Academy Award winner, one of the best actors of this generation, and it shows here. It really shows here. Although it's a Disney movie, it's a Disney produced movie. Soundtrack is even good, especially in my the songs here. The soundtrack here is not really on my age, but I appreciate it a lot when I was watching this movie. That it's perfect. It's an almost perfect movie for me. And like I said, this top 10, top 11 movie suggestions, I highly recommend you guys to watch this as well. And next up is this is fairly new. You can watch this on Netflix. It's a Netflix produced movie, Hustle. It stars Adam Sandler as Stanley Sugarman, who's a scout for the Philadelphia 76ers, fictional character, and how he, travels from country to country to scout or to sign that next great basketball player. Um, Fictional characters here. Juancho Hernan Gomez stars as Bo Cruz, and Anthony Edwards as Kermit. I forgot his name, last name, but Kermit. He was named Kermit, and I really hated the character of Anthony Edwards here because he's really, really obnoxious. But it's really great. This movie is really one of those underrated sports movies I've ever seen in ever. Um, it's great as well. It's on Netflix. You can see it there. You can watch it there. It's, like I said, it's fairly new. I believe this is just like a 2-year-old movie. Um, and how Adam Sandler went from being a scout because his dream is to be an assistant coach in the NBA after injuring himself in a college game or in college during college that ended his career, but his basketball mind still there, and how he trained a relatively unknown basketball player in Spain, which is Bo Cruz character, Hernan Gomez character, and made him a superstar afterwards. How he to maintain your temper, control your temper. It's you versus you. I believe this is one of the first things I heard. You versus you. So highly recommended as well. Hustle, you can watch it on Netflix. Definitely it's still there. Since it's a Netflix produced movie. Next up is Air. Also a relatively new movie. This is not really more of a sports movie, but I added here because of the sports element. The story here is how the third uh, sneaker company in the States or all over the world tried to sign a relatively new or in the NBA, a rookie named Michael Jordan. So, it stars Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, Chris Tucker, uh, and yeah, among other stars. Star-studded movie. So it is the story of how Nike signed Michael Jordan because at that time Michael Jordan was prepared to sign with Adidas, and afterwards, if he weren't able to sign with Adidas, it's with Converse, then it's with Nike. Since Nike was like the third brand, even I believe they're fighting for third with Puma at the time. Although Puma and Adidas were like sister company at the time. So this is how a great movie that it's again a great movie of great actors, how they act, and how Nike signed Michael Jordan. So what about great about this movie is how Matt Damon is great. Matt Damon is an okay actor or decent actor for me, but when the way he acted in this movie is right, well, he really can act. There's a reason he is a multiple time nominee for best actor in the Oscars. And like I said, this movie is like the underdog story, and it also tells or told the story it tells the story of how Nike said because at that time during the 80s you can't really wear black with your sneakers. At least 51% or 50 plus percent of your sneakers or shoes should be white. And when they created uh Air Jordan 1, it's mostly black and red. And they said, "You know what? 5,000 fine will pay for it every game. If you're fined, we will Nike will pay it." And that's how they started, and that's how the legend of the Air Jordan sneakers come to fruition. I'd recommend it as well. Next up is Gridiron Gang. So it's another football movie. This starred Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Exhibit. So Dwayne the Rock Johnson or the Rock star as Sean Porter. He's a caseworker for a juvenile detention facility, and he, like Coach Carter, similar with Coach Carter, he decided, you know what, life of crime is not really the way for the younger generation, and that's why he created a football team for that juvenile facility and have them play against high school, high school students or high school student athletes as well. So it's really inspirational because if you ask me, this is one of my favorite rock movies because it's not really that action packed. Um, it's more of like a sports drama. I don't think that he even threw a single punch at this movie. But yeah, along this and Be Cool, the movie Be Cool, when he starred as a part of an LGBTQ character, but with muscles and a bodyguard. That's one of the most hilarious characters. Um, this movie really expo this for me. This is one of my favorite Dwayne the Rock movies because, wow, he can act. He can really act. At this time, right now, most of his movies are Jumanji, Fast and Furious movies, and Rampage. What else? And he acts as Journey. He just acts the same, mostly the same character. But this one really dwells from action roles that they have. And like I said, it's also part of Netflix, I believe, so you can watch it and catch it there. Without me spoiling anything. It's a decent movie, but it's a great movie for me. I don't know why I put it here, but for me because I believe this deserves to be on the top 10 list of sports movies for me. Next up is Any Given Sunday. Stars at the great Al Pacino, Jamie Foxx, and Cameron Diaz. This one it's a fictional football league as well. And what can I say about this movie? The actors really are great. Were great in this movie, especially Al Pacino and Jamie Foxx. So Al Pacino plays a football coach. Cameron Diaz plays as the team owner, and Jamie Foxx as a third stringer quarterback. Third stringer quarterback back. If you're not a non-football fan, it's like you're the third in the spot of being a point guard. You're like the third point guard. If you're like Chris Paul as the starting point guard, the backup point guard, you're the backup, the backup point guard. And how Jamie Foxx's character rose to the occasion from being a third stringer quarterback and leading the team to the playoffs. And it's a brutal movie as well in terms of how the game of football is being played or being perceived, you know, in an inside football or inside baseball analogy, meaning what happens in the backstage elements. So highly recommended as well. Next up, and since like I said, this is a pro wrestling podcast, you know, we cannot not put not put the wrestler as part of this list. The wrestler is a Darren Aronofsky movie, written movie, produced movie, and starred Mickey Rourke in his best performance so far, and my ultimate crush, Marisa Tomei. No, this movie Mickey Rourke stars as Randy the Ram Robinson, an old wrestler, and you know I couldn't say washed up, but a solid veteran that was once upon a time a top star in a pro wrestling world until when he got old, wasn't able to save money, wasn't able to maintain good relationship with his family, fall from grace or fell from grace. So meaning he was working like still as like a 56 almost 60-year-old wrestler, still works in independent scene, high school conventions. His normal work is he works as a bagger for a grocery store while still wrestling. Also, it quite exposed pro wrestling a little bit in terms of what happened in the independent scenes in wrestling industry. Steroid abuse, drug abuse, that wild lifestyle. It exposed a little bit, but one of the gist of movie aside from the acting of those the characters, actors there, is how that person of Randy Duram loved the sport of wrestling because he suffered a heart attack. He had a bypass surgery in this movie. And spoiler alert, doctor said that you cannot wrestle anymore. And there was I cannot really I'm going to rephrase or paraphrase the line, but said that nobody loves me in the real world, but there outside in that ring, everybody loves me. And which is at the time it was really a powerful line. Highly recommended as well. Watch the wrestler. So last on our list is Warrior. So it's the only MMA movie that's great MMA movie out there. Star Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton and the great Nick Nolte as well uh, as MMA fighters. So it's a tale of two brothers and a tale of two different worlds. Tom Hardy's character was a soldier who was disorderly discharged, dishonorably discharged, or went AWOL and decided to become an MMA fighter because the story is there's like this one millionaire hedge fund that started a wrestling promotion or UFC or MMA promotion for a 2 day tournament for a win at all, a winner takes all, tournament, 2 day tournament, and the prize is like $5 million. So Tom Hardy joined, and Joel Edgerton's character is different because they were brothers, they are brothers, but they're estranged from each other because of how their family broke up. Joel Edgerton is a substitute or a high school teacher that fights at night because of finances, and also it's like the first half of the movie they haven't seen each other, but the latter part that's the time they see. Also a powerful movie in terms of the last act or the third act of the movie because they met at the finals of that tournament. Imagine two brothers fighting. Such a great movie. That's all I can say. Man, Tom Hardy here is a badass. He grew a lot. He really grew big muscles because Tom Hardy, if you're not a comic book, you know, movie enthusiast like me, Tom Hardy was Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, and if you can see his muscles there, it's nobody makeup. It's really his muscles because he during the time he was doing this movie, and he's really really huge. He's not really tall, but I believe he's like 5'7" or 5'8". I'm a bit taller than him, but his body of work, meaning his body, is really ripped in this movie, and it's really really great. Like I said, story wise, it's one if ever there's it's a best MMA movie that I've seen. Sorry, Never Back Down. I like that movie as well. I like sports movies. Like I said, they inspire people. They inspire me in terms of when I'm down. If I need a little bit more push. Sure, my wife, my kids, my family, they push me to be a better person. But this movies doesn't hurt. They don't hurt when I want to be inspired a bit. And I have a lot of honorable mentions. Never Back Down, Jerry Maguire, Trouble with the Curb, American Underdog with Zachary Levi. Those are great movies that I recommend as well. But I put this in the top 10 of my list right now because it if you want to be inspired, especially in this world right now that some of us, despite yeah, like I said, I have my wife, I have my kids, I have my entire family, a support my support team. But there are times that I need something, not really more, but I need something, you know what, will help me out. And this movies really does. They really do. I, most of these movies are in my phone. Most of my movies are in my hard drive. And they're in streaming sites, Netflix, Prime Video. Disney Plus, Max. And like I said, I highly recommend you guys to watch these movies because they will, like I said, it's inspirational in terms that we need some inspirational in a world where there's like a lot of pessimism and cynicism. So, yeah, that's it for my top 5 plus 5 anything list of sports, highly recommended sports movie that I highly recommend. So enjoy, you can watch it, subscribe it, watch it not. So hope you like this show, this episode today. Probably we'll talk tomorrow after SmackDown, then Sunday. If not tomorrow, Sunday. So thank you guys for watching. Keep on watching, viewing, listening to the podcast, Gripter Podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk about pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. See you guys and have a happy weekend.